emergency currently exists. Quickly secure your home or business and safely evacuate the area.
Hurricane Milton re-strengthened to a Category 5 as it bears down on the Tampa Bay area. Highways have been clogged with people fleeing what is now expected to be one of the most destructive storms on record.
Before making landfall, Milton is now forecast to double in size. That's why officials are warning of conditions that are unsurvivable. Powerful winds could turn debris left from Hurricane Helene into projectiles. And in some places, the life-threatening storm surge might reach as high as 15 feet.
If we get the surge again, I can't imagine. I don't know what will be left, honestly.
We have full team coverage ahead of what could be a once-in-a-century storm. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is standing by with the latest track. But we start with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who's on the ground in Fort Myers, Florida. Jay, good morning. More than 400,000 people across Lee County, that includes Fort Myers, are in those mandatory evacuation zones. From what you're seeing, are people taking those warnings seriously? What are you hearing from residents there?
Yeah, Joan, it's been good to see that a lot of these areas are basically empty where the mandatory evacuations are in place. We were out on Fort Myers Beach yesterday in Fort Myers downtown, and it was really a ghost town, which is great news. You know, the people here understand storms. They've been through many and recently been through some pretty tough storms. We had Helene, and that's still an issue for a lot of people here. But 2 years ago, Ian, which really ravaged this entire region. And I think this storm escalating so quickly and moving in really got their attention. So it's good to see that a lot of people have decided to move to higher ground, move to a shelter, just make sure that they get out of the way of what is a monster storm and still building, by the way, as it heads towards the coast.
As of yesterday evening, we know the Fort Myers mayor said the city dump site for debris from Hurricane Helene, Jay, was officially closed. Were they able to get those streets cleared? It's a real concern. All that debris could be missiles, battering rams when the storm surge and the wind comes.
Yeah, Christina, I mean, it's a great point, and they were very aggressive in trying to clean up the mess that was left behind by Helene. And they did get a lot of it clean, but not all of it. And that is a big concern for a lot of people right now, that you still have these piles of debris. And in some areas, we're talking piles that are 2 stories high, if you can imagine, especially out on Fort Myers Beach. And so that's why it became much more critical for people not only to leave the area because of the wind and rain, but because that debris can become projectiles and be very dangerous.
So, Jamie, parts of Florida's Gulf Coast are going to start to feel the impacts from Milton in just the coming hours. First the rain, then winds later today. For those who've moved to shelters or even those who are staying put, what types of resources are available?
Yeah, right now what we're hearing is there are 13 shelters available in this area in Lee County, and many of them open to pets too. So that's very important. A lot of people at times say we don't want to leave if we can't take our pets, so they've got a place to go. What they're telling you is to make sure you bring at least 3 days of clothing, of medication, and just the essentials that you may need. Bring a pillow and blanket if you can as well. The resources available to those that are riding it out will be response teams, but they're also very quick to point out, Joe and Christine, that once the wind reaches about 40, 45 miles an hour, you're riding this out on your own if you've made that decision. They'll get in and help you as quickly as they can after the storm passes, but they're not going to put responders in harm's way to get to you during the storm, and especially at the height of the storm.
Important information there. You know, in an interview with MSNBC yesterday, the mayor of Fort Myers also said he's never been more worried about a storm in his life. And he was a police officer in the city for more than 2 decades. What are officials' biggest concern at this point?
You know, it's very interesting because I talked to the mayor last night as well, and he was in Ian, said Ian was the worst thing he had ever seen as far as the storm is concerned, and that he just felt worse about what's coming his way. So there is a big concern, not only for the storm surge, which could be massive here in the Fort Myers area, but also the wind ripping apart some of the areas that are barely pieced back together after Ian, and then that wind wind-driven rain that's just going to push into areas where it's not supposed to be. And so it's really a triple threat here with the wind, the rain, and the surge, and it's at a height that we don't normally see. This is a storm, like I mentioned earlier, that is seeming to gain intensity as well as a larger wind path, or a footprint, if you will, as it moves toward the west coast of the peninsula right now. And so that's something that's very disturbing for a lot of people. If there is a sliver of a bit of good news, it's the fact that the speed of this storm has picked up a bit, and so it's not going to linger. It's going to move across rather quickly, but when it does, there's a big concern, Christine, Joe, that it's going to leave quite a mark.
All right, Jay, thank you for your reporting. Please continue to stay safe throughout the day here.
Right now, for the latest on the hurricane's timing, path, and size, let's bring in NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman.
Michelle, good morning. So Milton, less than 24 hours from landfall now. What is Florida looking at?
Hi there, guys. Yeah, we're about 19 hours away, so that window is quickly closing to prepare for this hurricane. We are still looking at a dire situation, really a heartbreaking situation. There are people waking up this morning not knowing if their house is going to be standing tomorrow as the storm moves offshore. Landfall tonight anywhere between 8 p.m., 10 p.m. into the early morning hours of Thursday. So let's get to the latest information, because we are watching this barrel across the Gulf. Now, remember, the Gulf is supercharged. We're looking at water temperatures, record-breaking water temperatures. That is fuel for this storm, and that's why we saw that increase once again to a Category 5 storm. We're going to keep that category strength for a bit. It was going to wobble back to a 4, and then we're going to see it move onshore tonight in the overnight hours as a major hurricane. So it's really just using that fuel. We're already starting to see some outer rain bands moving through the state of Florida. We're going to really see them pick up through the later morning hours, the early afternoon hours. And then we're going to see those winds really gust by later on this evening, and then things quickly go downhill by the later part of the night into the overnight. Let's take a look at these numbers. 160 miles per hour, a huge, massive storm. This is catastrophic. It is record-breaking. It is life-threatening. We can't say those words enough. Category 5 storm. As Jay mentioned, it has picked up in speed compared to yesterday. We're looking at the movement northeast at 14 miles per hour, so it will move quickly. We want that to happen with a tropical storm simply because it holds so much water, so we want it in and out. Still, though, we're going to see catastrophic flooding, life-threatening flash flooding in some cases, because we will see 18-plus inches in some spots. Now, as we go throughout time here with this path, this is the latest path. As of the latest advisory, we're going to keep that strength of Category 5 to a Category 4 as we go throughout the day. Then, as it gets closer to the coastline, the west coast of Florida, it's going to encounter a little dry air, a little wind shear. Those are two ingredients kind of tears down a storm, but it's not going to have a lot of time to tear that down. So we are still anticipating a major hurricane as it moves onshore. And then notice by Thursday at 2 o'clock, still on the east coast of Florida, a Category 1 storm. We're going to hold this strength as we go throughout the afternoon hours of Thursday. Tropical alerts, they're extensive from the Carolinas to the Panhandle of Florida down to southern Florida, the Bahamas, and also the Keys. Notice that bright red color. That's your hurricane warning. Orlando, Tampa, Fort Pierce, Fort Myers under that hurricane warning. Again, we will see those conditions really deteriorate as we go throughout the later part of the day, afternoon into the evening hours. This is a big one. 17 million people at risk for flash flooding, for river flooding, extensive street flooding. Hopefully you heeded the warnings, because we will not be able to travel on any of these roads. We won't be able to evacuate later. And storm surge. This will be the legacy of the storm, a storm surge of up to 15 feet in some spots. That is extensive. It's catastrophic. It's life-threatening. It's unsurvivable. It will move in fast. It will move in furious. This will be a wall of water that pushes in. It's not going to trickle in. So again, guys, we're going to be watching that very, very closely. Another thing is, we'll end it here because we're looking at winds gusting over 110 miles per hour. What is that going to do? Power outages, not just days, but we're going to be talking weeks. This is going to be a story for a long time to come. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Just, unsurvivable storm surge is...
Every adjective, every adverb you can think of applies to this one.
Thanks, Michelle. For more on what officials in the area are doing to get ready for Hurricane Milton, I want to bring in Chief Barbara Tripp of the Tampa Fire Department. Thanks for taking some time for us. I know it's very busy for you. Less than 24 hours from Milton making landfall. You're going to start feeling the presence of this storm soon. What are some of the things your department is focused on right now to get your city ready?
The biggest thing, first of all, thank you and good morning. biggest thing that we're worried about is the community safety. Of course, we had a large storm surge from Hurricane Helene, and of course, some of the families are still trying to recover from that. As we see the storm coming in, and of course, it's definitely uncertain, we're looking at the winds that we're going to be affected by, and of course, down power lines, people without service. And so we're trying to get the community to make sure they get to shelters and get to areas where they can actually get some help.
Chief, most of the area is under an evacuation order. Of course, so much of the Tampa Bay area is on the water or near the water. From what you can tell, are most people obeying those orders? And if not, is it too late to leave now, or can people still get out?
People can still get out, and what has been a blessing by our mayor, we have had law enforcement go door to door in those evacuation areas, warning everyone to please take this storm serious, because, like I said, we just had a situation, and a couple of people did not leave, and of course, they had to result in some difficulties with them and with their family members. So once again, everyone is definitely listening. We've had law enforcement. We received help from the state and the feds. And so we're definitely prepared and not looking forward to it, but we're doing everything we can to make sure the community is safe.
What about the people who don't leave? What is your message to people who think they can hunker down here? And how long do you think it'll be, before you'll be able to get emergency services or any kind of supplies to those people?
So as we continue to communicate with the community, we warned them that we could not get to you if something was to take place because of all the disaster, all of the hazards that would take place, and first responders would not be able to get out. So for the individuals who are not leaving, we're telling them to leave now. And it could be days, you're right, it could be days, it could be weeks, because once again, if the roads are destroyed, if the waters have done a significant damage, it's definitely going to be hard to get to those individuals.
Chief, you just mentioned this. There is still a lot of debris left over from Hurricane Helene, which hit less than 2 weeks ago. How much progress have you made cleaning all of that up? And just how much are you worried about that debris blowing around in the wind or just creating extra hazards when that massive storm surge hits?
So we had 3 prone areas that was really affected. And I must say all the debris that we picked up in 2 of the areas. One of the areas we did everything except probably about 10 to 20%, and which the mayor had our solid waste department working 24/7. That is definitely a big concern, especially with the winds to be over 100 miles per hour and how it's going to affect a lot of the infrastructures that's surrounding the city. So that's why we're telling everyone, if you have that debris in your area, to actually get away from it, to go to shelters until the storm has come and we have made an assessment for you to return to your home.
Chief Robert Tripp, thank you so much, and best of luck to you in the hours ahead here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
The White House is sounding the alarm on storm-related disinformation following Hurricane Helene. While there are some legitimate concerns, the volume of misleading information surrounding the federal response is growing. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and with Hurricane Milton barreling towards Florida, President Biden is calling misinformation about the federal response un-American.
It puts people in circumstances where they panic, where they really worry. They think we're not being taken care of.
Former President Trump and some of his allies keep spreading false claims.
For one thing, $1 billion was stolen from FEMA to use it for illegal migrants.
That's not true. FEMA has distributed more than $1 billion to shelter migrants, but the agency says that's from a separate government program, not disaster relief. Trump also falsely claims residents are only being offered $750, even though they can qualify for more.
He really lacks empathy on a very basic level to care about the suffering of other people.
On social media, even more outlandish conspiracy theories are exploding, from false claims of FEMA stealing money from donations to the government controlling the weather from Antarctica.
The amount of misinformation just continues to grow unnecessarily. And it's just really creating an interference for us to be able to do the job that we need to do. It prevents them from actually coming in and asking for help.
But we also pressed the FEMA administrator about criticism of the federal response.
The administration was slow to get started. We're only beginning to see that mobilize about a week too late.
Including from Helene survivors.
I hear them say on the radio that FEMA's here, but I haven't seen them.
What do you say to people like her?
I think the best thing that I would say to this is just because you don't see a person wearing a FEMA shirt does not mean that we're not here.
In Florida, there's another political storm brewing between Governor Ron DeSantis and Vice President Kamala Harris. A source familiar with the situation tells NBC News he's refused to take her calls.
It's just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish.
Overnight, DeSantis fired back, saying he did not know she'd called, adding he's spoken with President Biden and Harris has no role in the process.
She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign.
Our thanks to Gabe Gutierrez for that report.
Now let's look at the latest in the race for the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris using her current media blitz to make her case for the nation's highest office, while answering some tough questions on how the Biden administration handled the border crisis. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign is now responding to a shocking revelation in a forthcoming book about the former president's relationship with Vladimir Putin during the COVID pandemic. Here's NBC News correspondent Garrett Haake with more.
In her ongoing media blitz, Vice President Harris telling ABC she wouldn't change anything President Biden did.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Later saying she would name a Republican to her cabinet. Former President Trump slamming the response, calling it, quote, her dumbest answer so far, and Biden the worst president in history. While on CBS, Harris was pressed about her record on the border.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
New data obtained by NBC News shows there were 54,000 illegal border crossings last month, the lowest number in 3 years. Meanwhile, Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward writes in a new book that former President Trump secretly sent Russian President Putin COVID tests for his personal use in 2020. Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me, Woodward says Putin told Trump. I don't care, Trump replied. Fine. Woodward citing an unnamed aide who claims Trump may have spoken to Putin as many as 7 times since leaving the White House. NBC News has not confirmed Woodward's reporting. The Trump campaign responding in part, quote, none of these made-up stories by Bob Woodward are true. Harris slamming Trump.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests. This guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use?
All right, our thanks to Garrett Haake for that report.
Coming up, North Korea ramping up its rhetoric on nuclear weapons, the new warning from the rogue nation, and how South Korea is responding.
But first, Israel is amping up its attacks in Gaza and Lebanon amid a growing humanitarian crisis. We have the latest from the Middle East next. In the Far East, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is cranking up the rhetoric and stoking fears of a nuclear attack. Kim is threatening to use his most powerful weapons against South Korea if they were to attack his country. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has more.
With world attention focused on the Middle East and fears of further escalation between Iran with its nuclear program and nuclear-armed Israel, the rhetoric from North Korea's Kim Jong-un is getting less international attention. This week, he repeated a warning. If South Korea used armed forces against his country, North Korea would, without hesitation, use all its attack capabilities. And he said the use of nuclear weapons is not ruled out, though he later said, we have no intention of attacking South Korea. This week saw a massive annual military parade in South Korea, including a U.S. bomber, where South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol vowed the end of the North Korean regime if it ever used a nuclear weapon. So, add the Korean Peninsula to the global list of problems in the next president's in-tray. The two candidates offering very different approaches.
I got along very well. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, I got along very well with him. He'd like to see me back, too. I think he misses me, if you want to know the truth.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump.
Increasing the complexity, many burning international issues are interwoven. In Ukraine, it's now highly likely that North Korean soldiers are fighting for Russia, South Korea's defense minister says. Kim Jong-un wished President Putin a happy birthday this week, a friendship both sides have had reason to celebrate. During the Russian leader's visit in June, they signed a comprehensive strategic partnership. The US suspects that means sharing more weapons and perhaps even nuclear secrets.
We continue to be incredibly concerned by the expanding security relationship between North Korea and Russia, both for the support that North Korea continues to provide to Russia to prosecute its illegal war against Ukraine, and for the prospect of Russia assisting North Korea in ways that ultimately will be destabilizing to the Korean Peninsula.
Kim's confidence is growing. Last month, he was pictured visiting centrifuges that can produce fuel for nuclear bombs. Last year, he brought his daughter to inspect missiles.
This is my honor.
The years when Kim Jong-un was prepared to meet with President Trump and perhaps negotiate are a memory now. The next president may have to deal with a very different North Korea.
All right, our thanks to Keir Simmons for that report.
Turning now to the Middle East, Israel is intensifying its attacks on both Gaza and Lebanon as the situation there continues to deteriorate. This morning, there are major concerns over the safety of 400,000 Palestinians in northern Gaza after Israeli troops pushed ahead with a major ground assault on a refugee camp.
In a post on X, the UN's chief for Palestinian refugees said, in part, that many there have ignored recent evacuation orders by Israel because no place in Gaza was safe. He added that many shelters and services were being forced to shut, some for the first time. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, Hezbollah says it has been turning back advancing Israeli troops on the border 1 day after Israel expanded its ground assault westward.
NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamjian joins us now from Haifa in northern Israel. Danielle, good to have you with us. Let's start off with the situation in northern Gaza right now. Just what's the latest on this Israeli assault there, especially what's the impact on just the hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians there?
Yeah, and that's a staggering number, 400,000, as you mentioned. We'll start in the Jabalia refugee camp, which is once again the focus of the IDF. Viewers might remember that name, Jabalia, because the IDF was there just over a year ago, raiding that camp. It's now back there, and the IDF says the goal here is to stop Hamas fighters from regrouping, and this is now day 5 of the raid, which has triggered, as you can imagine, another evacuation order. But the residents and the civilians in the area say once again, and they find themselves in this awful situation of having nowhere safe to go. That's what they're telling us. That's what UN officials are saying, because again and again and again, this has been the same scenario over the past year. Philip Lazzarini, as you mentioned, head of the UN Refugee Agency, saying 400,000 people now trapped in the area. Shelters, which managed somehow over the past year to stay open, are now forced to shut down, with hunger, he says, now spreading once again in northern Gaza.
Danielle, let's talk about the Lebanese front of the war. What's the latest on the fighting with Hezbollah?
Well, overnight, the IDF continuing to pound the southern suburbs of Beirut, specifically the Dahya suburb, which is a Hezbollah stronghold. The IDF says that this is where decisions are made, where weapons are manufactured. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, said yesterday that they managed to recently kill 2 of Hassan Nasrallah's successors, without, I should point out, naming who these successors were. Now, in the past 24 hours, we also heard from Naim Qassem, who is the deputy leader of Hezbollah, one of the last surviving members of the leadership. And he came out publicly to say that the group would be open to the possibility of a ceasefire with Israel. This is significant because it seems to be the first time that Hezbollah has not made a truce and a ceasefire in Gaza a precondition for a truce with Israel. Now, whether now this is the official Hezbollah position is still unclear, but what is very clear, just looking at those pictures, is that from Israel's perspective, it is making progress in Lebanon, despite the mounting death toll, despite the mass displacement, 1.2 million people now displaced. From Israel's perspective, it's got no incentive to stop at this moment in time.
Danielle, we understand Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Biden are supposed to speak on the phone today. This comes after Israel's defense minister canceled a trip to Washington. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this all happened quite quickly last night. Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, was meant to meet with the U.S. Secretary of Defense at the Pentagon today. That trip canceled on orders of his boss, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, for a couple of reasons. One, the War Cabinet is meant to vote on Israel's response to the Iranian missile attack last week. Secondly, as you mentioned, Benjamin Netanyahu wants the opportunity to speak to Joe Biden. That has been in the works for several days, but an Israeli official confirms to NBC News that that phone call will take place today. Should point out that the United States in the past has been caught off guard, not just in Gaza, but in Lebanon, by Israel's actions. So it's going to want to know what the plan is here for a couple of reasons. It wants to be able to come to its allies' defense. It also has its own assets to protect in the region, tens of thousands of U.S. troops stationed in the region. Guys?
All right, Danielle, thank you so much for that. Coming up, we're tracking Hurricane Milton as it barrels toward Florida's Gulf Coast.
We are on the ground in Tampa as residents hunker down for their second major storm in 2 weeks.
And we're back with the latest on Hurricane Milton, which is closing in on Florida's Gulf Coast as a dangerous Category 5 storm with winds up to 160 miles per hour. It is set to make landfall tonight.
Officials have been racing to clear piles of debris left behind by Hurricane Helene. They're pleading with people to get out and get to safety. Tampa's mayor even warned the storm surge that's predicted could swallow an entire house. Now, with time running out, many residents do seem to be taking those warnings more seriously.
You can replace cars, you can replace homes, but you're not going to replace your life or your loved ones.
You haven't decided to leave. There's no reason to consider it. You just go, pack up and go.
Wow, NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas is live in Tampa for us. Tom, good morning. From what you've seen in the last 24 hours, are more people leaving now that landfall is just hours away? Have most people left? What's the situation?
Yeah, good morning, Christine. Well, listen, we've seen days of miles-long traffic getting out of the Tampa Bay area. So people, I think, have heeded the warning. There are gas stations that no longer have fuel. That's a sign that people gassed up and got out. But the clock is ticking. It's almost run out. You still have a few more hours to get out safely before those tropical storm force winds start to hit Tampa. We're here at Tampa General, right? This is the largest trauma center in the area. They have this aqua fence which held up during Hurricane Helene. You can see how close Tampa Bay is. Now, here's the difference. When the water comes in, it anchors this in place. The physics aren't very complicated, and the walls are then anchored and held up. But this can withstand 15 feet of storm surge and about 135 mile per hour winds. That's right around where Hurricane Milton is forecast to hit the area with. So hopefully this all holds up. Again, they didn't evacuate the hospital, so they have faith in the aqua fence. We're going to have to wait and see what happens.
So, Tom, as we've mentioned, officials have been racing to clear debris all week in Tampa. Now they're saying they've run out of time for that. So what can people do if there's still debris left? Is there any advice for folks to try and avoid the dangers associated with that?
Yeah, Joe, it's a great question. I spoke with a county official in charge of cleaning up the debris around Tampa, and she told me that, listen, contractors, workers evacuated. There was too much debris, less than 2 weeks between Milton and this other hurricane between Milton and Hurricane Helene, and that they just couldn't pick it all up. And I asked her, how much did you guys pick up? She thinks only about 5%. So you're essentially going to have all these landmines around homes, around neighborhoods, those piles of debris as that storm surge and those hurricane force winds come in. I have spoken to a lot of people who were not going to take the chance. They said, listen, they're worried about the debris. They're worried about trees around their house. So they've gone to shelters. I spoke with one mom who brought her 2-year-old in. They're going to ride it out in the shelter. Here's what she told me.
Yeah, I just was learning that I'm safer at a shelter because the buildings are made out of concrete and trees won't fall on us. I don't live too far from here, but my house is quite old and there's a lot of trees. Since it's just the two of us, I just felt safer being at a community shelter.
Yeah, she's actually going to celebrate her daughter's birthday, likely inside the shelter. Liliana turns 2 on Friday, so they might still be here. She's hoping she can have a birthday for her on Saturday, but we're going to have to wait and see. It could be really, really bad and dangerous out here.
Yeah, so smart for her to take her daughter someplace where she can be safe. Tom, thank you so much, and stay safe yourself.
New this morning, a group of scientists says that climate change is fueling the intensity of Hurricane Milton, just like Hurricane Helene less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Milton gained strength over the Gulf of Mexico extremely quickly on Monday, going from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane in just over 24 hours. The World Weather Attribution Group says it's all part of a trend of rapidly intensifying storms powered by a record-hot ocean.
For more on this, let's bring in Jeff Schlegelmulch. He is the director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness at Columbia Climate School. Jeff, good to have you with us. Just talk about some of the biggest takeaways here. How much of a role does climate change play in what we're seeing from both Milton and from Helene a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, absolutely. As we're increasingly seeing the attribution models sort of describe how much we can attribute to some of the differences as a result of climate change. One of the attribution studies I read on Helene gave about 20% increased rainfall as attributable to climate change. I believe it was 5 or 7% increased winds. So we're seeing these storms intensify, and also just a lot more moisture that they're holding, and a lot more range that are different than we're used to seeing.
You mentioned those wind speeds and rainfall totals that were higher because of climate change, and by how much. How do you expect Hurricane Milton to compare?
Yeah, so it's kind of a good news, bad news situation. On the one hand, Helene carved right at the north of the country, covering a lot of states, stalling out and just dropping a tremendous amount of rainfall. We are expecting a lot of rainfall to track across Florida, going out to sea sooner, but we're very on surge, and particularly the heavily populated areas around Tampa Bay. And so this is still a very, very dangerous storm, even if a little bit different and a little more favorable track than Helene.
Over the last few weeks, we've seen just how much damage Helene has done, and not just in one area, but in like 10 states. So based on this data, will these storms only get worse from here on out? Is there anything we can do to better prepare for these storms in the future?
So on average, I think we can expect to see, and we have been seeing more and more what we call billion-dollar disasters, including hurricanes, but also wildfires and other types of events. So this is a trend that we should expect to see continue, at least for the foreseeable future. Some of the most important things we can do are greater investments in disaster preparedness, as well as how we build, where we build, building codes, building out our emergency management systems, and of course, not taking our eye off the greater goal of reducing emissions and reducing some of the drivers that are leading to these increased disasters.
Important conversation, Jeff, especially right now. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get to our weekly medical checkup, starting with the latest on why some people coping with pregnancy loss are not getting a well-known drug that could help them. We've got everything you need to know to help advocate for yourself at the doctor's office.
Plus, how the position of your arm could mean an inaccurate read on your blood pressure.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar is here to discuss all that and more. Dr. Azar, so nice to see you this morning. So mifepristone, it's a drug that you commonly hear talked about in abortion,
Yes.
right? And it's something all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists recommends it as a helpful treatment after a miscarriage and says that it's not used as often as it could be to help women.
I know.
Talk about this important drug, mifepristone, and its treatment after a miscarriage.
Yeah, well, you kind of highlighted, I think, part of the reasons that mifepristone has made the news is because it is FDA approved for medically induced abortion. And the two-drug regimen, mifepristone plus misoprostol, number one is used for medication abortion, but it's also used extraordinarily effectively for early pregnancy loss. And in fact, what this study basically showed was that that combination reduced the likelihood of needing surgical procedures and and also emergency room visits if women did this. Now, the issue is this. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has made a recommendation to use this. It sometimes takes years for guidelines to turn into practice. And two other things about mifepristone is that there are pretty stringent requirements for physicians when they are prescribing it. They have to be able to attest that they can provide surgical or follow-up care should the woman experience bleeding complications. And it's also kind of tedious for a pharmacist to certify all the paperwork. So all that being said, yes, it is very, very effective. How easily available is it for a woman to obtain a prescription and get the medication? It's not that easy. And those are the kinds of things that are going to need to change. So doctor's orders, advocate for yourself. Know that this is available. Ask your doctor if mifepristone is right for you. And also be aware that any suspected or confirmed ectopic pregnancy, not appropriate to use for this drug regimen.
Let's talk about blood pressure here. I'm going to be an arm model for a moment.
Yes.
So the study shows that basically your arm position, if it's wrong, you get a bad blood pressure reading. So what's going on here? What should you be doing? Especially, I suppose, folks are doing this at home.
Yeah. So I want to point out that we have known for many years that certain things like, not smoking or exercising or drinking caffeine 30 minutes before you get your blood pressure checked, checking your blood pressure at the same time every day, arm position, size of the cuff, all of these things matter to get an accurate reading. The position that you want to have your arm in, the cuff should be at the same height as your heart. Your arm should be resting on a table. It should not be resting in your lap. That brings it down too far. And hanging down, which a lot of us do at the doctor's office, right? You sit on the exam table. Yeah. That can overestimate the blood pressure by as much as 7 points. And that's important. I would say from a public health perspective, I'd rather overestimate than underestimate because we don't want untreated hypertension, but overtreating is not a good thing either. So doctor's orders here are, you go into the doctor's office and you see that they're about to take your blood pressure sitting. You go, you know what, would it be okay if I sit here and put my arm on the desk? And oftentimes the nurse or the person taking the blood pressure will also hold the arm, which is also a good alternative if you can't have your arm on the table.
Let's show you recovered there. So let's show it one more time.
You basically want your arm resting on the table, and you want the cuff to be at the same height as your heart. You don't want it hanging down or resting in your lap.
And don't cross your legs, too, right?
Exactly. Kind of the same stuff we talk about posture at the computer. It's the same idea. Feet flat on the floor, 90 degrees like this.
Excellent. All right. Lastly, some researchers are saying that adding fluoride to tap water might not be as useful and helpful as it used to be. I guess it must be because we're using toothpaste that has fluoride in it.
You got it. Okay. So back in before the 1970s, when fluoride was so uniformly then added to toothpaste, the benefit of adding fluoride to water was substantial, and the rates of cavities decreased significantly in those environments where that was the case. But researchers have shown that with the onset of using, or the ubiquity of using, fluoride in toothpastes, we've seen that decline. But to the point where some areas are actually, some municipalities and whatnot, are actually eliminating fluoride in the water. And experts are saying, we don't want you to do that. But we still want you to opt for fluoride toothpaste. And remember that oral health care has many aspects, and it's not just fluoride. It's flossing, it's regular dental visits, it's not eating sugar, it's all the things that we know that have been drilled. Ooh, did you see what I did there? Into our heads our entire lives.
All right, Dr. Azar, all important information. Thank you so much. We will take your doctor's orders.
Coming up, the new legal battle over children using TikTok.
Well, by more than a dozen states are now suing the popular app. That's next. All right, welcome back. More than a dozen states are suing TikTok, alleging harmful effects on kids' mental health. Yesterday, 14 attorneys general filed lawsuits against the social media giant, alleging it violated state laws by falsely claiming its service is safe for young people. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung has more.
Social media giant TikTok facing allegations that it's as addictive and dangerous as cigarettes.
For young people, the TikTok platform is like digital nicotine.
13 states in the District of Columbia are taking TikTok to court, alleging the dopamine-inducing algorithm hooks young users into endless scrolling, causing anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia.
TikTok has engaged in a pattern practice of deception, of lies. It has addicted an entire generation of young people and teens.
The lawsuit also alleges the app at times promotes harmful and deadly behavior, from subway surfing to stealing cars. The lawsuits also allege TikTok doesn't do enough to stop children from scrolling into mental health problems.
They lose track of time. That is by design.
Alleging further that the app's beauty filters create unreal standards and that around-the-clock notifications lead to sleep loss. The states saying tools like a 60-minute limit aren't effective.
Why, in New York State's view, was that not enough?
The tools that they have oftentimes are difficult. They're hidden. Parents cannot activate those tools.
TikTok blasted the claims as inaccurate and misleading, adding that the lawsuits are disappointing after they tried to work with the states for over 2 years.
In August, the federal government sued TikTok for what they allege are widespread violations of children's privacy laws, allegations TikTok denies. President Biden signed a bill earlier this year that could ban TikTok in the U.S. if its Chinese owner ByteDance doesn't sell it. Brian Chung, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Zavalos for more on this. Danny, good to have you with us. So walk us through these claims here that the states are making. What is it they're just alleging here?
So the states are using a theory of liability under their consumer protection laws. And depending on the state, some states' consumer protection laws are actually very robust. They often use language like any deceptive or misleading advertising. So as long as the attorneys general can articulate something that is fraudulent, something that is false and misleading, they may have a case. Now, as to the allegations themselves, you heard them in Brian's package there. A lot of them sound very similar to the same allegations we heard in the 80s about television, and specifically about kids like you and I watching 9 hours of professional wrestling straight. Yes. The same system keeps you watching. Same thing about video games, maybe into the 80s and 90s. And now you hear a lot of the same allegations, but you really should separate them into two baskets: the addictive part and then the false and misleading advertising. Because one thing we know from American history, we're fine with some kinds of addiction. Alcohol seems to be fine. Gambling is becoming more legal. Drugs are becoming decriminalized. Some drugs are. So America has a strange relationship with addiction. But the false and misleading advertising, that is something that most states allow suits for.
Dana, let me read to you the statement that TikTok wrote here. We provide robust safeguards, proactively remove suspected underage users, and have voluntarily launched safety features such as default screen time limits, family pairing, and privacy by default for minors under 16. They went on to say, we've endeavored to work with the AGs for over 2 years, and it is incredibly disappointing that they have taken this step rather than work with us on constructive solutions to industry-wide challenges. What do you make of that response? They're saying we tried to work with the government.
That's very interesting, and it's something I'm going to want to hear more about. And I wonder, at what point did the attorneys general decide we're not getting what we wanted? Because this is just what happens in litigation. Parties often try to work things out, and then if they cannot, litigation is a last resort. So I'd be interested to hear, we may hear through discovery, if this case ever gets to discovery, what kinds of actual negotiations there were and why they fell apart.
We know this is one of just many legal battles with TikTok right now. There's the DOJ suing for children's privacy. Of course, Congress passed that bill the president signed, proposing a ban on TikTok unless it sells. Federal agencies say, hey, no TikTok on our devices. Any of these suits, could this impact the new suit or vice versa?
Sure. Any kind of discovery, anything revealed during the course of litigation always helps other litigants. And now that TikTok appears to be this large target, and by large, I mean a large corporation with deep pockets, that is really key here. The attorneys general would not be suing a company that was judgment proof, that didn't have assets to pay. These consumer protection laws allow for very robust damages claims, and those damages will go to the coffers of the state. So depending on each of their lawsuits and how the law works. But they can be very profitable for these attorneys general, not personally, but for their state.
Sure.
All right. Danny Zavalos, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Let's get to some other financial headlines, including more legal trouble for Google that could soon be handed down by the DOJ.
CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Christine. Good morning to you. Yes, so the Justice Department may ask a judge to order the breakup of Google. In August, a court found Google, which handles 90% of U.S. internet searches, had built an illegal monopoly. The proposed fix could force Google to spin off parts of its business, such as Chrome and the Android operating system. The Justice Department is expected to file a more detailed proposal in November, and Google will have the chance to counter with its own remedies in December. Now, if the government does seek a breakup, Google is expected to appeal, a process that could take years. Walmart recently shut its doctor's offices for people. But the nation's largest retailer is expanding its healthcare business for man's best friend. Walmart plans to open 5 more pet service centers over the next month with locations in Arizona and Georgia. They'll offer veterinary care and grooming, and the move is part of broader efforts to Walmart for Walmart to capitalize on a category that's popular with customers and step up competition with specialty retailers like Chewy. And Spirit Halloween will open 10 new Spirit Christmas stores catering to holiday shoppers. A company spokesperson confirming the move to CNBC. Each store will feature a wide range of holiday decorations and gifts, as well as Santa Claus and a life-size gingerbread village. The flagship Spirit Christmas store will open in Mays Landing, New Jersey next week, while the other 9 locations will open in early November, guys.
I thought you were going to say, and they open in an hour.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's when I started reading it, I was like, wait, when is this opening? Now? It's open already?
A life-size gingerbread village. I didn't know I needed that. But
now,
it's there.
We need it, Christine. Let's go get it. We need it.
Savannah, thank you so much.
Got it.
All right, let's get to the latest drama brewing in the NFL. The New York Jets announced Tuesday they fired their head coach, Robert Saleh, just 5 games into the regular season. Now, the Jets have stumbled out of the gate this year with a 2-3 record, not 0-5, 2-3. They were 20-36 overall under Saleh's tenure.
But this morning, many fans are pointing the blame for Saleh's firing at star quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers returned to the field after missing all of last season due to an Achilles injury he suffered during his very first game with the team.
For more, we're joined now by national NFL writer for The Athletic, Mike Jones. Mike, good to have you with us. So we know the Jets, they went all in to bring in Rodgers, inking the future Hall of Famer to that deal worth more than $100 million. Of course, that got off to a rough start. Now we're hearing Coach Saleh was escorted out of the team's headquarters yesterday. Just walk us through the reaction from Jets fans just throughout the league to this.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprise. The Jets fans are surprised. People around the league, I sent a lot of text messages. A lot of people who work in the NFL are like, what is firing a coach entering week 6 going to really do here? This was something that nobody saw coming, but it just reflects the dysfunction that has long plagued the Jets. They have swung and missed at a lot of quarterbacks and have not been able to get out of their own way. And here, a very well-respected head coach. He hasn't had the results yet, but there's always been something kind of working against him. And now, you know, with the frictions between him and Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson, decided it was now time to pull the plug.
Mike, even with Rodgers back in the lineup, the Jets have had more turnovers than touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. So was Saleh really the problem? And why make that move now?
Well, you know, there's a lot of debate as to who the real problem is. Aaron Rodgers has not looked great. It's very curious. A lot of people around the league asking me and remarking that offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett was somebody that they were like, well, why didn't they start with firing him first? But he's very close with Aaron Rodgers, and that's the reason why he's the offensive coordinator there. And Aaron Rodgers' word carries a lot of weight. So, yes, Robert Saleh is the head coach. We heard Aaron Rodgers criticize him for not holding guys accountable and things like that. But the reason why the offenses are working is because their offensive line isn't very good. Aaron Rodgers is got some rust and he's 40 years old. And Nathaniel Hackett is not exactly proven as an outstanding offensive coordinator.
To be fair, this past week they did face my Minnesota Vikings, who are 5-0 and very good this year. So just pointing that out. All right, so Mike, give us the outlook for the rest of the Jets season. Any names being thrown around for who could replace Saleh full-time? How quickly do you think they're going to move here?
Well, I don't think they're going to make a immediate hire. Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, has moved into the interim role. Now, if they do well and turn this thing around, he has a chance to become the full-time head coach. He's well-respected around the league as well. Would have probably interviewed for head coaching jobs this coming offseason. Like you said, that defense was playing very well for them. The offense was not, but they'll start with Ulbrich, and then we'll find out, you know, as we get closer to the end of December, January, what they're looking at as far as a head coach if Ulbrich does not work.
All right, Mike Jones, nice to see you. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Plot thickens. All right, coming up, your chance to own a piece of one of the most popular fantasy shows ever.
Yeah, fans of Game of Thrones are bidding on more than 2,000 items from the iconic series. We'll show you what's up for sale next.
We are back now with an impressive new gaming record that was never thought possible. 16-year-old Twitch streamer Michael Arteaga just became the first person to ever clear the highest level of Tetris, achieving the so-called rebirth after rolling the game back to 0 from level 255, the highest level. The teen was reportedly using a modified version of the game made exclusively for the Nintendo Entertainment System that prevents crashes after level 155. After his achievement, Arteaga wrapped up his stream by saying, "I never want to play this game again."
I don't blame him. I can't believe no one's ever finished it till now.
Oh my gosh.
But then I didn't know there were that many levels. I got to level 4, I think.
Oh my gosh. I've never played Tetris.
You never played Tetris?
No,
you have to play Tetris.
Yeah.
All right. We end this hour with the winner of a contest like no other, Fat Bear Week. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has a look at the viral March Madness style competition.
Through the roaring waters of Brooks Falls, these Alaska brown bears are packing on the pounds. Like heavyweight boxers bulking up for a weigh-in, gorging on sockeye salmon, making massive gains to go round for round before the long winter, nearly doubling their body weight. Animal lovers from around the world can watch the action via high-quality webcams and vote for their faves in a March Madness-style bracket. Last year, 1.3 million people cast ballots, a massive increase over 10 years ago.
The accessibility of watching truly wild animals and not in a zoo sense, I think, connects people to it, but also just how awesome bears are.
And they are awesome. Like heavyweight grazer, last year's Fat Bear champ, a mama grizz weighing in around 1,000 pounds. Wildlife guide John Kuiper has a front row seat at the river's edge.
Every time I get to see one's a good day.
Katmai National Park gets fewer than 20,000 visitors annually, and it can only be reached by boat or seaplane. So Fat Bear Week, a collab between Katmai and the National Park Service, is a way for everyone to learn about preserving this critical bear habitat.
They rely so heavily on the salmon runs to add enough weight for the hibernation season. There would be no Fat Bear Week without the salmon run.
And this year, John's all in for Chunk, this massive alpha bear of the falls, easily recognizable with a signature scar in his face.
He was bigger than anything I'd seen before.
Even carving out a special chunk on his own arm for him.
People think it was awesome. People feel a lot stronger in their obligation to protect something if they feel a connection to it. And I think that's part of the really important things that this week does, is connect people to the wild so that they have a desire to keep it wild.
Steve Patterson, NBC News.
And a winner has been crowned. It's Grazer again, a repeat champion who took the title while caring for a baby. We're told that's the first time that's happened. Our thanks to Steve Patterson for that recap. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Developing right now on Morning News Now, millions in Florida bracing for Milton's wrath. The superstorm weakening just slightly over the course of the morning. Now a Category 4 hurricane. It's expected to slam the state's Gulf Coast just hours from now. On land, the final push to prepare for what's expected to be a disastrous direct hit. Long lines of cars racing to find a safe place to stay, facing a roadblock with hundreds of gas stations running on empty. President Biden calling off a planned trip overseas, focusing on the government's response to what could be a historic weather event.
We're driving our preparedness to Hurricane Milton, which could be one of the worst storms in 100 years to hit Florida. If you're under evacuation orders, you should evacuate now. It's a matter of life and death, and that's not hyperbole. It's a matter of life and death.
Throughout the hour, we'll be tracking Milton's latest moves and bringing you conversations with both local and federal officials as Florida once again prepares for the worst. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Christine Romans in for Savannah this morning.
We're going to start this hour in Tampa, where millions of people are bracing for Hurricane Milton, which is less than 24 hours away from making landfall. The National Hurricane Center says it's officially one of the top 10 worst storms on record.
Officials across Florida's Gulf Coast are pleading with people to get out now before it's too late. NBC News Now top anchor Tom Llamas is on the ground in Tampa, where the mayor is saying, quote, if you stay in an evacuation zone, you're going to die.
So it started to rain here in Tampa, and the conditions are just going to get worse as Hurricane Milton gets closer to the area. We're outside Tampa General, the largest trauma center in this area. They're not evacuating the hospital because of this, the aqua fence. They have faith in this. It held up during Hurricane Helene. Let me show you how close Tampa Bay is, though. It's right there, so the water is just steps away. The physics of how this works is really not that complicated. The water comes in, and essentially the weight of that water anchors this down, holding up the walls. It keeps the water from getting inside the hospital. But even this has its limits, right? It can withstand 15 feet of storm surge and about 135-mile-per-hour winds, and that's exactly what Hurricane Milton, around exactly what Hurricane Milton is forecast to be hitting the area with.
Quickly secure your home or business and safely evacuate the area.
On Florida's west coast, a final push to prepare for Milton's arrival.
What is your message to people who didn't evacuate but maybe should have?
They're on their own. Many appear to be listening.
You think this is Tampa Bay's time? You think this is the one that's going to hit Tampa?
I'd like to say no, but it could be.
With long lines of traffic heading out of town and many gas stations running out of fuel, entire neighborhoods now appear largely deserted.
You could get another house and material things. You can't get another life.
But the streets in Gulfside beach towns and up and down Florida's west coast are filled with massive piles of debris left behind by Hurricane Helene. Debris that can turn destructive because of Milton's powerful winds and storm surge. County workers who have been working around the clock to clear it now say they've run out of time and manpower to do much more.
So people should assume that the debris piles they see out there, they're probably going to be there for Hurricane Milton.
Yes.
That's gotta trouble you.
It definitely does.
Milton's stunning scale apparent in this view from space. Its powerful winds shaking up a team of hurricane hunters flying through the storm. President Biden canceling a planned overseas trip in order to focus on the storm.
This could be the worst storm hit Florida in over a century.
Even inland cities like Orlando expected to be impacted. Disney and Universal both closing their theme parks early today. Tropicana Field, home of the Rays, has been transformed into a massive base camp for first responders. While local shelters are filling up, as folks like Tampa resident Jennifer North and her daughter Liliana hunker down to ride out the storm.
A shelter wasn't really something I was considering until I started asking friends, why is a shelter more safe than home?
Okay.
And when I learned why, that helped to make my decision.
And the storm is so powerful, you're not going to take any chances.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any chances.
Okay. You heard that county official from Hillsborough County talking to me about the debris piles. I asked her how much they're able to pick up. She said only about 5%. So you're going to have those landmines all over neighborhoods and homes. She said, listen, there was just not enough time between Helene and Milton, less than 2 weeks. There was way too much debris, and workers and contractors started evacuating. They're going to stop picking up debris sometime this afternoon once those tropical storm force winds start hitting the Tampa area. That's the latest from Tampa. I'm Tom Llamas. Back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you. Stay safe.
Let's get the latest on what to expect from Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, meteorologist Michelle Grossman has been tracking the storm for us. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning to you both. As Tom just mentioned, we're going to see those winds picking up in Tampa as early as this afternoon to tropical force winds around 5 p.m. Now, we saw Milton decrease just a bit, weaken with the latest advisory, but just by 2 miles per hour. So really still a strong Category 4 storm, just on the threshold of a Category 5. 157 miles per hour makes it a Category 5 storm. So very, very strong. We're still looking at all the impacts we're expecting, high impacts of catastrophic storm surge, destructive and damaging winds gusting over 100 miles per hour, causing power outages for days, even weeks, and also looking at storm surge. That will be one of the biggest stories with this system, because we are looking at storm surge that is that wall of salt water over dry ground up to 15 feet in some spots. Here's the latest. We're looking at the location getting closer to the coast here, 250 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. Notice those colors kind of invading Florida. That is rainfall. So we're starting to see those outer rain bands touching Florida. Some of it is on the heavier side where you're seeing those brighter colors, but we're really going to see those outer rain bands pick up as we go throughout the later part of this morning into the early afternoon. We picked up speed with the latest advisory as well. Last advisory was moving to the northeast at 12 miles per hour, now moving at 16 miles per hour. So we're going to watch that forward speed as we go throughout the day. But either way, we are looking at that landfall later on tonight into the overnight hours. I'm going to stop this clock just to show you the time frame here. Thursday, 2 a.m., still looking at winds at 130 miles per hour. This is a major storm, so most likely making landfall as a Category 4 storm, a Category 3 storm, a very, very strong storm, and that's why we're concerned about life. We're concerned about property as well. It's going to be heartbreaking for many. Some people are going to return to homes that may not even be there, or that will be, destruction like what we saw with Helene. Then as we go throughout time here, we'll move across the state of Florida, but still a Category 1 storm by Thursday at 2 p.m., and then it's over the open waters of the Atlantic, the tropical storm system, still Friday at 2 a.m., and then it's going to weaken into a remnant low. Let's track it across the Gulf here. We are looking at record-breaking temperatures in the Gulf. That's what's giving this the energy, the oomph, the fuel for this storm. And really, we're going to see that as it continues to trek across the Gulf. The only thing that will weaken in a bit is some dry air that it's going to encounter close to the coast, and also some wind shear that kind of shaves off the top. So that's going to weaken in a bit, but still, again, a major hurricane as we head towards the landfall. Bands of heavy rain and wind impacting the peninsula all across the state of Florida. Tropical alerts stretching from the Carolinas all the way down to the Keys, even the Bahamas. Flood alert, 17 million people at risk. We are looking at extensive flash flooding, catastrophic flooding as well, extensive street flooding and road closures that could be closed for days to come, and the storm surge. Big story with the system. This will be record-breaking. This is unsurvivable, especially where you see that purple there, Tampa seeing that storm surge of 9 to 13 feet. So kind of focus on that purple there, but still where you see the red, Fort Myers 8 to 12 feet, and that surge could travel several miles inland. It's not just going to be along the coast. And then there's the flooding, life-threatening and catastrophic flash flooding possible. The ground is so saturated for days of rain. Now we're going to get these heavy rain bands come quickly and furiously, torrential downpours. And by the way, on top of that, we're already seeing tornado warnings. With any sort of landfalling system, we have the threat for tornadoes. So seeing those warnings already, and we're going to see them all throughout this Wednesday. Guys, we could see 18 inches of rain on top of that, winds blowing over 100 miles per hour. That is going to cause power outages that could last weeks. Unreal. So this is something we're going to continue to watch very, very closely, and most likely that landfall overnight tonight.
All right, we know you will, Michelle. Thank you so much.
All right, throughout this week, Mayor Jane Castor has issued stark warnings to people in the Tampa Bay metro area. She told NBC News that the predicted storm surge on the barrier islands won't be survivable. A little earlier, she spoke to Hoda Kotb and Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show, telling them this is not a drill. Here's their conversation.
A couple days ago, you were as blunt as I think we've ever seen a public official be, saying if people stay in these evacuation zones and try to ride it out, they will die. Is that still your message this morning?
Well, wherever that storm surge comes, if it's 10 to 15 feet and people are trying to ride this out in single-story structures, there's no place to go. And once the winds get up to hurricane speed, there's nobody to come and get you. And so, the point of being blunt was to get everyone's attention. This isn't a drill. This is the biggest storm that we have certainly seen here in the Tampa Bay area in over a century.
And Mayor, to compound things, high tide in Tampa happens to be at 6:19, which is a terrible time for it. But there are people who either cannot leave, are too old, felt they waited too long. There's no gasoline. There are a lot of people who are kind of trapped in that bucket. What should they do if they are, in fact, in their homes?
People aren't trapped. Our amazing law enforcement officers are going door to door. We have our social engagement personnel, especially for those individuals that only speak Spanish, and, encouraging them to come out. And if it gets down to the point, we can just bring them to a shelter. And as far as the gas is concerned, I'm on Port Tampa Bay's board, and we service 17 counties. And our fuel reserves are full. They were full a day or two ago. And it's not a supply issue, it's that demand. So we're getting that gas out as quickly as we can. Gas stations in my neighborhood were empty night before last. they're full now. So we're providing the fuel necessary. And again, we don't want people, they don't have to go to another state. Just go up to higher ground. It is the water that we have got to run from, and that is what is going to be most impactful. And as was said, 20 miles in one direction or the other will make all the difference. It goes 20 miles south of us, it'll take that water out of our bay. So we don't wish anything on our neighbors, but as Al said, any wobble will make a significant difference for the Gulf Coast.
And finally, I mean, you're still recovering from Hurricane Helene, significant flooding there. We've talked a lot about the debris, and we know workers have been, pulling all-nighters to get that debris secured. How concerned are you about that aspect?
Well, clearly very concerned about any debris that's left out, but I got to tell you, our Tampa team is nothing short of amazing. We had some issues with contractors falling through, so we rolled up our sleeves and we have got 70 to 75% of that household debris off of the street, something that would take 3 months in any other condition, we've gotten done in 2 weeks. So we've done all that we can, or continuing to pick it up until it's impossible to stay out on the streets any longer.
All right, thanks to Savannah and Hoda for bringing us that important conversation.
Let's bring in Jennifer Poirier. She is the city manager for Clearwater, Florida, which is right on the Gulf Coast, about 20 miles west of Tampa. Thank you so much for joining us. Your community expected to start feeling the effects from Hurricane Milton within the next few hours. Just what are you doing right now to prepare for the storm?
We're continuing to encourage people that it is not too late to get out. So if you are in those low-lying areas in the mandatory evacuation zone of A, B, or C, there is still time. You don't have to go far. You just have to go to higher ground. There are shelters available. And so that's what we're still encouraging people to do is if you have not yet left, please evacuate now.
Milton is supposed to make landfall just as the tide is coming in. So that could put the storm surge at 10 to 15 feet. How worried are you about that surge, and what special precautions are you taking because of it?
We're extremely concerned. We're planning for a worst case scenario, of which is devastating, and which is why we're telling people this is not the one to ride out. If you're in those low-lying areas, you have to get out. So we have police officers and our first responders out there telling people, please go. We will assist you as best as we can to get you out of those low-lying areas because you have to run from the water. And that's what we're doing to prepare, is just getting everybody out.
Once the storm passes, of course, depends on where exactly it hits, how big the storm surge is, but what are your top priorities going to be?
Life safety. So checking out to make sure what life safety issues that we have, ensuring that the people that didn't leave or didn't heed those warnings are okay. And obviously the debris is going to be a significant issue for us. And so those would be our top priorities.
You talked about the debris. You reopened the beaches after Hurricane Helene, and there's still a lot of debris and damage. Are you worried that Hurricane Milton in some of these areas that are still recovering from Helene will just be that much more devastating?
Absolutely. It's a significant concern. While our teams and our contractors did a good job in trying to get as much out as we possibly can, there's still a lot of debris out there. So it's a significant concern for us.
Do you feel like people are heeding the warning and getting out of the area, or are you worried too many people are staying behind right now?
The beaches look empty. It looks deserted out there, but we know that there are still some people that have not yet heeded that warning. So we're going to continue to push that. But we are excited that a majority of the people that have been told to leave have done so. So that's encouraging.
That is. All right. Jennifer Poirier, thank you so much for your time. We'll continue to check with you over the next coming days.
All right. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration issued an update to its most aggressive hurricane season forecast on record in August, predicting that 2024 could be the busiest hurricane season in the U.S. that we've ever seen, with warmer water temperatures a key factor in this outlook.
This forecast is certainly holding true as Hurricane Milton barrels toward Florida's Gulf Coast, a mere 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene left a path of destruction across the southeast.
Let's bring in Michael Brennan, the director of the NOAA's National Hurricane Center, for more on this. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Warmer sea temperatures, a big factor here. What else is making this year's hurricane season so active?
Well, we've got, sort of large-scale favorable conditions across much of the Atlantic, warm ocean waters. We've seen, obviously for a storm to strengthen like Milton has, the atmospheric conditions have to be extremely favorable in terms of light upper-level winds, lots of moisture. The storm has to sort of be in the right place and have the right structure to take advantage of that warm ocean. And but that's, typical of what we see in October. Is this is sort of the prime, area where we tend to see storms form this time of hurricane season. Northwestern Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately, with those very warm waters and those very favorable conditions, we've now got a really powerful, potentially catastrophic hurricane heading towards Florida later tonight.
So you are the pro. When you look at the data, when you look at the maps, what are some of your biggest concerns when watching a storm of this magnitude develop?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've got all the hazards in play. We've got the life-threatening storm surge that could be devastating along portions of the west coast of Florida from, the Tampa Bay region southward to Port Charlotte, 10 to 15 feet of inundation expected in that area. That's why people have been asked to evacuate. We've got the potential for, hurricane-force winds across much of the Florida Peninsula. Everywhere you see in red here is under a hurricane warning. The entire I-4 corridor from Tampa to Orlando to Daytona, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Port St. Lucie, up to St. Augustine, Ocala. Those areas are going to have the potential for devastating wind impacts, widespread tree damage, power outages, structural damage as well. And then we've got the potential for life-threatening rainfall flooding, especially in this red and pink area. Again, that same I-4 corridor could see isolated rainfall totals as high as 18 inches playing out from today into Thursday, with the potential for life-threatening flash and urban flooding playing out in those regions.
Oh, it just sounds devastating. And it's affecting millions of people, and these are back-to-back storms, right? Can we expect to see back-to-back storms like this in the future, or is this just unique for this year?
Yeah, sometimes it's just bad luck that we tend to get in a pattern where you tend to have storms form in the same environment. Conditions can be favorable for a certain period of time. You have certain steering patterns set up that will move them in a certain direction. But we have seen back-to-back hurricanes affect areas, unfortunately, in the past within just a few weeks. But, it's important to emphasize that the impacts in, say, West Central and Central Florida are going to be much worse for Milton than they were for Helene. Helene made landfall up in the Big Bend region, devastating landfall there. We had a lot of storm surge along the west coast of Florida, but for places like Tampa southward, the storm surge has the potential to be much greater here with Milton, and with the impacts from the rainfall and the winds across central Florida are going to be much worse than they were with Helene.
Let's show some pretty nerve-wracking video here. It's of the NOAA hurricane hunters flying into the eye of Hurricane Milton on Monday to collect data. These are not cowboys. This is science. This is essential stuff. What kind of data is collected on missions like this, and how can it inform preparedness now and then preparedness for future hurricanes?
Yeah, the hurricane hunters really collect the most valuable direct measurements we can get, because they can fly right into the storm. They can give us direct measurements of how strong the storm is, how big its wind field is, where it's located. They can also take radar images of the storm. And so our forecasters here at the Hurricane Center are looking at all that data in real time to help us make our analyses and forecasts. All that data also goes into the weather forecast models and helps make their forecast 10 to 20% better when we have that aircraft reconnaissance data. So that helps us issue more accurate, more consistent forecasts, warnings, and highlight those areas at risk of that life-threatening storm surge, the winds, the heavy rainfall. So it's really a foundational piece of everything we do here to keep people safe from hurricanes.
All right, Michael Brennan, thank you so much for joining us today. Important information.
In the race for the White House this morning, Vice President Kamala Harris is pushing back against former President Trump, who continues to criticize the government's response to Hurricane Helene. This comes as the former president faces renewed scrutiny over his relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now with the latest. Peter, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good to see you. This really is the start of crunch time for these candidates, accelerating their appearances and their efforts to motivate their voters, also to try to reach those voters who may still be undecided in this race. Vice President Harris on both daytime and late-night TV yesterday. She's going to participate in a Hurricane Milton briefing today. Former President Trump, he'll head to the crucial state of Pennsylvania.
In the final 4 weeks until the election, Vice President Kamala Harris ramping up her media appearances, cracking a beer with Stephen Colbert on late-night TV, but facing scrutiny for these comments on The View when asked what she would have done differently than President Biden over the last 4 years.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Later saying she'd appoint a Republican to her cabinet.
That will be one of the differences. I'm going to have a Republican in my cabinet, because I don't feel burdened by letting pride get in the way of a good idea.
Former President Trump and his campaign quickly seizing on the comments. Trump listing the border and inflation as issues during the Biden presidency and writing her dumbest answer so far. On Howard Stern's radio show, Harris responding to new reporting from journalist Bob Woodward in a forthcoming book obtained by NBC News. Woodward writes that at the height of the pandemic, Trump secretly sent COVID test machines to Russian President Vladimir Putin for his personal use, even as the U.S. and other countries faced shortages. Harris weighing in.
I believe that Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. He admires strong men, and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends.
Yeah.
And they are manipulating him full time.
Woodward also reporting that Trump and Putin have had maybe as many as 7 phone calls since Trump left office. Trump telling ABC News the reporting on his calls to Putin and providing him test machines is false. But the former president defending his relationship with Putin yesterday.
I got along with him very well, which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
NBC News has not independently confirmed Woodward's reporting. And Governor Tim Walz also is raising eyebrows for some comments that he made at a fundraiser last night saying the Electoral College needs to go. He added, we need a national popular vote, but that's not the world we live in. A Harris Walz campaign official later walked that back, saying getting rid of the Electoral College is not the campaign's position. The campaign added that Walz believes every vote matters in the Electoral College. Joe.
All right, Peter, thank you so much.
All right, much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including how Florida zoos are protecting their animals ahead of Milton's expected landfall tonight.
But first, after the break, the controversial case of an Oklahoma death row inmate now headed before the Supreme Court. The state is now backing his latest appeal. We're going to dig into that next.
Okay, welcome back. This morning, the Supreme Court will consider whether to set aside a death row conviction for a man convicted of killing his boss at a motel over 25 years ago. Richard Glossip was found guilty of arranging the murder back in 1997 when he was a manager at a hotel in Oklahoma City.
Since then, he has maintained his innocence. And now, in a highly unusual twist, the state of Oklahoma agrees that Glossip did not get a fair trial. The Supreme Court will now consider whether Oklahoma prosecutors violated Glossip's constitutional rights by withholding certain evidence from the defense and then knowingly using a false testimony against him in their arguments.
For more, we're joined by NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney. And Ken, good morning. I mean, to show how long this has been going on, Glossip has had 9 execution dates set and been served 3 last meals. What finally got this case in front of the Supreme Court?
Hey, good morning, Christine and Joe. Well, the state of Oklahoma appointed a law firm to investigate this case, and that firm produced a detailed report which found that he didn't get a fair trial, essentially. The only evidence against him was the actual killer who testified as a witness, but did not disclose that he was being treated by a psychiatrist and was taking lithium at the time. And this report found that the prosecution knew that, didn't disclose it to the defense, and so therefore this defendant did not get a fair trial. The state of Oklahoma is not saying that he's innocent, but it's saying that he should not be executed because he did not get a fair trial.
Yeah, so Ken, as we mentioned, Glossip now has the support of the Oklahoma Attorney General. That's the state's top law enforcement official. Some people might ask, shouldn't that be enough to overturn his conviction? Why is it not?
It's a very strange situation. In Oklahoma, it's the judiciary, not the executive branch, that has the final word on a criminal conviction and whether to overturn it. And so the Supreme Court has had to appoint a lawyer to represent the judiciary against the Oklahoma executive branch to argue before the court today on these issues. And it's not just the judiciary. Actually, the family of the victim wants this execution to go forward and other officials in Oklahoma. But it is an incredibly unusual situation. You have the Oklahoma Attorney General saying, look, we're confessing error here. We made a mistake. This person should not be executed.
And Ken, the attorney representing the state courts against Glossip argues that the Supreme Court should not intervene in the case because they don't have the jurisdiction to decide the state matter. So what should we expect to hear today during oral arguments, and when could we see a ruling?
Yeah, that's one of several constitutional issues legal issues that will be argued today. The question of whether this situation should rest entirely on state law. That is the argument of the lawyer for the judiciary. Obviously, the Attorney General and lawyers representing the defendant here argue that his constitutional rights were violated, including, the famous case that requires the prosecution to turn over information that tends to exonerate a defendant to the defense. So those are the kind of arguments. We can expect a decision sometime later in the term.
Ken, while we have you, let's talk about what happened yesterday at the Supreme Court. The justices looked at whether the Biden administration could impose more regulations on so-called ghost gun kits. These allow people to assemble firearms at home with parts. It seems likely, after listening to the arguments, that the court's going to side with the government on this. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. The question in this case is whether the Biden administration went too far or whether the regulation that they issued in 2022 is consistent with state law. And a majority of justices, including conservatives who have been very pro-gun rights, seem to agree that the Biden administration is on firm ground here. Ghost guns are a public health crisis in this country. They are untraceable. They can be made at home with a kit, and law enforcement officials say they have been proliferating and used in crimes and make it really difficult for them to trace these guns. And after this rule went into place in 2022, it sort of curbed the growth, and they're saying that it needs to be in place, and it seems like a majority of justices agree. Joe and Christine.
All right, Ken, thanks so much. Nice to see you.
Now for what's making headlines around the world, Haiti's foreign minister is blasting the Dominican Republic's newly enforced policy on deporting migrants back to Haiti.
NBC international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now from Rome. Good morning, Claudio.
Christine, good morning. Well, that's right. On Tuesday, the Dominican Republic said that they have either repatriated or deported 11,000 Haitians back to their neighboring country as part of the biggest deportation plan of the country's recent history. Now, according to humanitarian rights groups, at least 500,000 Haitians, many of whom fled gang violence in their country, currently leaving the Dominican Republic. The government there last week said it will send 10,000 people a week back to Haiti, citing excess of immigrants. But the United Nations and human rights groups warned that deporting them back to Haiti will put their lives at risk. On Monday, Haiti's foreign minister, as you mentioned, called the deportation plan a dehumanizing act and said the brutal scenes of roundups and deportations are an affront to human dignity. Let's go to Brazil now, where Elon Musk's social media platform X is getting back up and running more than a month after it was suspended by the country's Supreme Court. The suspension was ordered at the end of August after Musk defied requests by Brazil's court to ban some user accounts and remove content that the court said violated federal laws. Instead, Musk closed the headquarters of X in Brazil and disparaged the country's Supreme Court minister, Alexandre de Moraes, comparing him to the movie villain Voldemort and calling him a fake judge. Now the Supreme Court said in a statement that X can go back online as the company finally complied with their conditions. And let's end this tour of the world at a museum of modern art in the Netherlands, where a lift technician threw away a piece of artwork that looked like 2 empty cans of beer. Now, officials at the Lam Museum in Lisse, about 20 miles from Amsterdam, said the cans of beer were hand-painted with acrylics by French artist Alexandre Lavet and symbolized cherished memories with dear friends, and that the evening spent enjoying drinks may seem trivial, but they ultimately embody precious moments of connection. Well, now this is the interpretation given by the museum guys, but if you ask the technician, I'm sure that his interpretation of that modern art is, well, it's all just rubbish. Back to you guys.
I feel kind of bad for everyone involved in that one. All right.
Like the still life you're used to. All right,
thanks, Claudio.
All right, coming up, weathering the storm.
After the break, how Florida's zoos are working to keep all of its animals safe as Hurricane Milton bears down on the state's Gulf Coast. That's next. Stay with us. Zoos across Florida are closed this morning as they make final preparations for Hurricane Milton. In some cases, the staff is not only relocating animals, but some workers are staying on site to make sure creatures big and small are safe during the monster storm. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now from Naples with more on this. Sam, good morning.
Joe, good morning. The good news, all of these animals are being watched out for. And look, zoos and aquariums across the state, there is a requirement. They have to have a disaster plan in place. Joe, it is certainly relevant in this case. Zoo Tampa telling us that they have at least 2 weeks of food ordinarily prepared for the animals. But in this instance, it's 3 weeks or more, as they want to be as ready as possible for whatever Milton has in store.
It's all hands on deck at zoos across Florida as staff tirelessly prepare to protect animals from Hurricane Milton. The Zoo Tampa team is working around the clock, relocating animals, preparing food, and securing buildings. It's all a massive effort to keep more than 1,000 critters, including Florida's iconic flamingos and manatees, safe and secure.
Whether it's something as large as an elephant all the way down to something as small as, a golden frog, there's a plan in place on how to address and make sure they're safe.
There's also a ride-out team staying on site to keep watch over the animals.
This is a team that will be in a secure location during the storm. They are basically a group of, for lack of a better term, at the zoo, first responders.
And from primates to porcupines, even pythons, staff at Naples Zoo setting up hurricane shelters for its creatures, like this one for 2 black-crowned cranes. At Zoo Miami, currently on the outskirts of Hurricane Milton's current path, the biggest concern is rising water levels impacting exhibits like this lion enclosure built with moats for overall security.
We've had to bring animals and keep them inside because the water in the moats has risen so much that it's created a bridge where an animal could literally swim out. So animals like our lions, like our gorillas, animals that are potentially dangerous are being secured overnight in their night quarters.
And inside Tampa's Florida Aquarium, it's 9 penguins marching from their first floor habitat to higher ground. Staff making the move due to a dangerous storm surge forecast to be as high as 10 feet or more in the area.
We plan for things like this so they have nice homes, even though they may be a little temporary.
And it's not just exotic animals.
We're just trying to play our part. And a lot of these, outdoor kennels within this area are going to be really not safe for these dogs.
As some residents answered the call to take in dogs from Miami area shelters.
We never expected to get the response that we got. It's been overwhelming.
Joe, a really important point right now if you are evacuating and want to do so with pets. Almost all of the counties issuing mandatory evacuations have shelters specially designed to take your pets. It's not all of them, but some. So that cannot be a reason that you're not going to leave your home. Officials certainly want to be communicating that message. Also, Zoo Tampa telling us that this can be very stressful for our 4-legged friends. If you could just bring some toys or treats to calm them down, but your mere presence will also make a difference.
Good
Joe,
point.
back to you.
Love to see the caretakers staying behind to help the zoo animals. All right, Sam Brock, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, turning now to a disturbing trend on X involving thousands of posts promoting eating disorders. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian explains how X's algorithm is playing a role in spreading these harmful messages online. We want to warn you, the topics in this story may be triggering.
Eating disorder Twitter, or ED-Twit as users call the community, thriving on X, with over 173,000 people joining one of these communities over the last 2 years. Originally, the largest was meant as a safe space for users with eating disorders, but it became a forum for tactics on disordered eating. Across the communities, thousands of posts every day, many users in their teens, some as young as 13.
It becomes like an echo chamber. It's all how to further your eating disorder, how to become sicker.
The content recommended to users by X's algorithms on its For You pages when their engagement overlaps with similar accounts. And it can be disturbing.
People were asking for tips on how to restrict calories to a really unhealthy level. They were asking about purging practices. There were instructions for how to reduce your calorie intake to the point where you would be fasting for days on end.
In September, after NBC News requested comment on these growing online communities, X suspended the largest group for, quote, violating rules against promoting self-harming behavior. Tens of thousands of users then joined similar X communities. X suspended 2 of them after NBC News reached out again.
I started having people reach out to me and sending me screenshots of seeing this content on their own For You pages. So I began to pick up on the fact that this is a really widespread issue to the point where lots of people are getting this content recommended to them on X.
This kind of content isn't new nor limited to X. It's popped up on other platforms as well, including Instagram and TikTok. Both of those platforms now directing people to helpful resources when they search for terms related to eating disorders.
What we find is that as soon as a platform starts moderating this content more, trying to ban it, these pro-eating disorder communities will shift to a platform with seemingly more relaxed rules.
An X spokesperson saying, quote, X prohibits content that promotes or encourages self-harming behaviors, adding, quote, we review community content when our automated detection or user reporting suggests a potential violation may exist. As social media use surges with teens, eating disorder-related health visits more than doubled amongst Americans younger than 17 in the past 5 years, according to data company Trilliant Health, while the CDC says ED hospitalizations spiked for adolescent girls during the pandemic. But just banning the groups creates a whack-a-mole of sorts.
There are new ones proliferating to make up for the ones that were taken away.
NBC News also identified several more X communities with up to 81,000 members featuring content promoting eating disorders and self-harm that X has still not banned. So what could help?
Try and spread an alternate message that, hey, you don't necessarily have to embed in this community. There are other ways of finding an identity online.
An identity many vulnerable young people are searching for.
Our thanks to Yasmin Vasugian for that report. For anyone struggling with eating disorders or self-harm, you can reach out to the National Alliance for Eating Disorders helpline at the number right there on your screen. You can also text Alliance to 741-741. All right, coming up, would you let your car insurance provider track your habits behind the wheel if it meant saving a little money?
After the break, it's a trend some drivers are jumping on, but could the technology actually send your premium soaring? Fasten your seatbelts. That's up next. Welcome back. This morning marks the beginning of a new era on the Las Vegas Strip. The iconic Tropicana Hotel was demolished just hours ago in a spectacular show. It's Vegas, after all. The city clears the way for something new. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now from Vegas with more on the overnight show and what's to come next. Looks like you probably had a pretty good view there, Liz.
Yeah, Joe, we were actually on the ground looking up at it. It was pretty incredible. We were also very lucky that the wind blew the smoke in the other direction. But it was like a magic show. Poof, those towers were gone within seconds in a puff of smoke. They used 2,000 pounds of explosives, 4 miles of detonating cord. There was a fireworks and drone show. All of this to mark the end of an era here in Las Vegas, but also the start of a new one as the city rebrands itself as a hub for sports.
Have you heard it's in this morning, a dramatic sign-off fit for Sin City. Las Vegas's iconic Tropicana Hotel coming down in spectacular fashion. The implosion marking the end of an era on the Vegas Strip. When the hotel debuted in 1957, it was dubbed the Tiffany of the Strip for its lavish decor and star-studded guests like Elizabeth Taylor, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr.
Did the Strip look anything like it does today when the Tropicana first opened?
Not at all. Not at all. And it was really bringing, something elevated to Las Vegas.
It was even the first to bring Vegas the famous feather showgirls when it opened the legendary Folies Bergère. The Trop also a fixture in pop culture, appearing in Elvis Presley's Viva Las Vegas, The Godfather,
Welcome to Las Vegas,
and as a James Bond favorite in Diamonds Are Forever.
I hear that the Hotel Tropicana is quite comfortable.
But after 67 years, General Manager Eric Knowles says the beloved resort has dealt its final hand.
It's a bit emotional, but bittersweet.
The closure making way for a new vision in Vegas. The property set to become the site of a new MLB stadium for the A's, who are joining the Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Aces as part of the city's big bet on sports entertainment.
What does the implosion celebration symbolize to you?
I think it's like the mythological phoenix. It's in the fire, something else is reborn. This is a welcome to the baseball team for the A's, as well as a farewell to the Tropicana.
We've been loading explosives since Tuesday morning.
Hours before, we were given exclusive access to the blast zone with the duo behind the show.
What does it take to implode two 23-story buildings of steel?
Forethought.
forethought, a lot of insurance.
And 2,000 pounds of explosives.
A little bit. It makes a little difference.
All in all, the implosion lasting less than 30 seconds as the Tropicana's nearly 7 decades of history just like that, goes out with a bang.
Yeah, guys, it was so impressive to see those towers come down so quickly. The skyline here in Vegas already changed. As for that MLB stadium, the city tells us that despite skeptics, they are confident the A's are going to be coming here to Vegas. They hope for that stadium, the MLB stadium, to open by 2028. Guys.
All right, Liz, I'm glad they put some forethought into that implosion. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Right now to what's making financial headlines this morning. Boeing is halting some negotiations with its striking machinists union.
CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Christine. Good morning to you. Yes, so Boeing has halted talks and pulled its latest pay offer to roughly 33,000 striking factory workers. Reports say Boeing's negotiator calls the union's demands non-negotiable and further talks don't make sense. Reuters reports Boeing is examining options to raise billions of dollars through the sale of stock, while factories that produce these 737 MAX, 767, and 777 planes are shut. Ratings agency S&P estimates the strike is costing more than $1 billion a month. S&P has put the company's credit rating on review for a possible downgrade to junk status. Home Depot is reportedly starting to accept Apple Pay in the self-checkout lines. Now, 9to5 Max says the rollout appears to be very gradual, and Home Depot had been a major holdout on accepting Apple Pay in stores. Rival Lowe's started supporting the service last year. Walmart is still the biggest Apple Pay holdout as it focuses on its own Walmart Pay and Walmart Plus platforms. And calling all children of the 80s and 90s, American Girl has released its annual line of Halloween costumes, and this year adults can also dress up as their favorite dolls with outfits in both kid and adult sizes. Fans can choose from 8 characters, including Kirsten, Samantha, Molly. Now, the costumes include the doll's full outfit minus the shoes and additional accessories such as matching wigs. Now, they're now available for purchase at Target, Amazon, and costumes.com.
All right.
I haven't even started thinking about a costume yet.
Me either.
I just like to claim I'm too old, and then I can move along.
Just put a witch's hat on.
There you go. There you go. All right, Savannah, thank you so much.
All right, turning now to a growing trend that could save you money on soaring car insurance premiums.
Many auto insurance companies will now lower your rate in return for tracking your habits behind the wheel, but some users say the technology doesn't always work the way it should. NBC's Emily Ikeda has the story.
Hey there. Well, we know about our credit scores, but what about your driving score? If you've opted in for one of these safe driving programs or used certain apps, you likely have one. Anything from a fast turn to a heavy foot on the brake can lower it, or, as one driver found out, even a ride on a roller coaster.
Stop sign, Dad! What? What are you doing? You went through a stop sign. That's called a rolling stop.
It's no secret some drivers are better than others.
It thinks we're in a park. Oh, my God, it is a park! Away from the kids! Aim for the lake!
But this morning, how companies are measuring drivers' skill and safety behind the wheel has some honking their horns. Thomas Bousquet uses Geico's voluntary safe driving program, Drive Easy, which tracks driving behavior through an app on his phone to adjust his insurance rate. Except when he visited an Ohio amusement park last month, he says the app mistook a roller coaster ride for his car and dropped his driver's score.
I could tell by the way the map route was drawn that obviously was the start of the beast layout.
Geico says users can easily correct those errors within the app, which is what Bousquet, who plans to continue with the program, did.
It's encouraging me even more to be safer and to be more cautious and aware of my surroundings.
The tracking of driving habits has grown in recent years, with some auto insurance companies offering up to 40% in savings for participation at a time when premiums are soaring.
Can we go?
Yeah, faster. Oh, no, siree. You see, I get discounts for my safe driving with Snapshot from Progressive.
Instead of charging you more based on, say, your credit score or your gender, they charge you more based on your actual driving behavior.
But consumer advocates point out that means premiums in most states can also go up based on that tracking data.
And according to one survey, only 38% of customers who use safe driving apps believe the data points are always accurate.
I went from having like a grade A to a B plus to a B. I'm like, what is the standard for this?
The digital age driving new questions behind the wheel.
Do you feel like you have to be more vigilant now in watching your data?
Absolutely, for sure.
Consumer protections, by the way, vary by state. For instance, North Carolina only allows insurers to lower your premiums based on safe driving data, not increase them. Ohio, where Thomas Bousquet lives, has no specific laws, according to the Consumer Federation of America. Back to you.
All right, Emily, thanks so much.
What if they gave us the taxi drivers here in New York?
Oh, my gosh, can you imagine?
All right, coming up, it's a contest we always like to cover here on Morning News Now. The heavy hibernators competing to win Fat Bear Week.
After the break, we'll take you to Alaska and show you the finalists and reveal what is different about this year's winner. We are back now with an impressive new gaming record that was never thought possible. 16-year-old Twitch streamer Michael Arteaga just became the first person to ever clear the highest level of Tetris, achieving the so-called rebirth after rolling the game back to 0 from level 255, the highest level. The teen was reportedly using a modified version of the game made exclusively for the Nintendo Entertainment System that prevents crashes after level 155. After his achievement, Arteaga wrapped up his stream by saying, "I never want to play this game again."
I don't blame him. I can't believe no one's ever finished it till now.
Oh my gosh.
But then I didn't know there were that many levels. I got to level 4, I think.
Oh my gosh. I've never played Tetris.
You never played Tetris?
No,
you have to play Tetris.
Yeah.
All right. We end this hour with the winner of a contest like no other, Fat Bear Week. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has a look at the viral March Madness style competition.
Through the roaring waters of Brooks Falls, these Alaska brown bears are packing on the pounds. Like heavyweight boxers bulking up for a weigh-in, gorging on sockeye salmon, making massive gains to go round for round before the long winter, nearly doubling their body weight. Animal lovers from around the world can watch the action via high-quality webcams and vote for their faves in a March Madness-style bracket. Last year, 1.3 million people cast ballots, a massive increase over 10 years ago.
The accessibility of watching truly wild animals and not in a zoo sense, I think, connects people to it, but also just how awesome bears are.
And they are awesome. Like heavyweight grazer, last year's Fat Bear champ, a mama grizz weighing in around 1,000 pounds. Wildlife guide John Kuiper has a front row seat at the river's edge.
Every time I get to see one's a good day.
Katmai National Park gets fewer than 20,000 visitors annually, and it can only be reached by boat or seaplane. So Fat Bear Week, a collab between Katmai and the National Park Service, is a way for everyone to learn about preserving this critical bear habitat.
They rely so heavily on the salmon runs to add enough weight for the hibernation season. There would be no Fat Bear Week without the salmon run.
And this year, John's all in for Chunk, this massive alpha bear of the falls, easily recognizable with a signature scar on his face.
He was bigger than anything I'd seen before.
Even carving out a special chunk on his own arm for him.
People think it was awesome. People feel a lot stronger in their obligation to protect something if they feel a connection to it. And I think that's part of the really important things that this week does, is connect people to the wild so that they have a desire to keep it wild.
Steve Patterson, NBC News.
And a winner has been crowned. It's Grazer again, a repeat champion who took the title while caring for a baby. We're told that's the first time that's happened. Our thanks to Steve Patterson for that recap. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.